Okay, are we ready? Wait. Calling case 2256011, people versus Malcolm Ray Hardy. Defendant charged in count 1 homicide, felony murder, juvenile defendant. Count 2 homicide, felony murder, juvenile defendant. Count 3 homicide, felony murder, juvenile defendant. Count 4, 5, and 6 murder first-degree premeditated, juvenile defendant. Count 7, 8 armed robbery. Count 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, felony firearm. Matter scheduled for preliminary examination, appearances for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Michael Glynne for the people. My P number is 77516.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Evan Callahan, P 30564 on behalf of defendant.
The designated time set for exam, are we ready to proceed?
Judge, the people are ready to proceed.
Defense is ready.
Okay. You have any preliminary matters you'd like to begin with?
Yes, Judge, just a few. The first, I'm going to ask for a mutual order of sequestration. I'm going to ask for an exception for my officer in charge, Sergeant McIntyre, who's sitting behind me.
No objection.
Good afternoon, sir. All right.
The next, Your Honor, is I believe we have a few stipulations for admissions of exhibits for exam purposes only between the prosecution and the defense. And that would be People's Exhibits 7 through 62. 7 through 61 are scene photographs from the scene, and the scene sketch from the scene, which is People's Exhibit 62, all from 15319 Evergreen in the city of Detroit.
No objection.
Okay.
Purpose of the exam.
Admitted.
And Your Honor, I'm going to move for the admission of People's 1 through 6. People's 1, 2, and 3 are the medical examiner's reports in regards to victims Caleb Harris, LaShawn Marshall, and Aaron Benson. And 2, 4, and 6 are the accompanied any photos that were taken during the postmortem examination of those bodies. I'm going to move for their admission under 766.11 Delta.
Any objection?
Purpose of examination.
Admitted.
Thank you, Judge. With that, Your Honor, I'm going to ask the court permission to first approach with the medical examiner photographs to publish just to the court.
Yes.
And that's 2, 4, and 6, Your Honor, for the record.
Okay.
And then permission to read the medical examiner's reports into the record.
Okay.
And Your Honor, actually, before I begin, there are quite a few witnesses in this particular case, some of which could be potential witnesses. Would you mind just admonishing the people in the YouTube Zoom world to, if you are a witness and spoke to the police about what happened, to stop watching? All right, I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a witness or a potential witness, or if you have made statements to the police regarding this case, I'm ordering you to log off at this time. To continue to watch may prevent you from testifying further should we find out that you have viewed these hearings. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, in regards to People's Exhibit number 1, I have what is entitled the postmortem report from the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner, and it certifies that Dr. Lee Lavity, Deputy Chief Wayne County Medical Examiner, performed a postmortem examination on the body of Caleb Harris at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office on February 21st of 2022. In the summary and opinion portion of this document, it states that it is my opinion that death was caused by multiple, parentheses, 9 gunshot wounds. There was no evidence of close range fire on the skin surrounding any of the wounds. There was an entrance gunshot wound in the left neck below the ear, GSW number 1. The wound track passed through the neck and posterior scalp muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the right lower back of the head. The wound track was from front to back, left to right, and upward. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the anterior lateral right upper arm, GSW number 2. The wound track passed through the arm muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the medial right upper arm. The bullet then re-entered the lateral right chest and passed through the right 4th rib, right lung, diaphragm, liver, and right 10th rib, and ended at an exit wound on the right back. Associated injuries were bruising on the right lung and bleeding into the right chest cavity. The wound track was from front to back, right to left, and downward. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the anterior lateral left upper arm, GSW number 3. The wound track passed through the arm muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the left axilla. The bullet then re-entered the lateral left chest and passed into the soft tissue of the lower upper back. Associated injuries were bruising on the left lung. The wound track was from front to back, left to right, and upward. A deformed jacketed bullet was recovered from the left back and retained. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the anterior medial left lower forearm, GSW number 4. The wound track passed through the forearm muscle and soft tissue and left radius and ulna and ended at an exit wound on the anterior lateral left forearm. Associated injuries were bruising and abrasions on the skin between these wounds. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound of the posterior medial right thigh, GSW number 5. The wound track passed through the thigh muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the medial right thigh. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was a grazed gunshot wound on the right calf, GSW number 6, with injury to the skin only. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the medial left thigh, GSW number 7. The wound track passed through the thigh muscle and soft tissue and left femur and ended in an exit wound on the lateral left thigh. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the medial left lower thigh, GSW number 8. The wound track passed through the thigh and knee muscle and soft tissue and ended at 2 exit wounds on the lateral left knee and posterior left knee. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the anterior medial left lower leg, GSW number 9. The wound track passed through the leg muscle and soft tissue and left tibia and ended at an exit wound on the lateral left lower leg. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. Other injuries include circular burns on the back of the right hand and medial left knee that were consistent with a cigarette or a cigar. The manner of death is homicide, is signed Dr. Lee Lavity, Deputy Chief, Wayne County Medical Examiner. In regards to People's Exhibit number 3, Your Honor, I have a postmortem report from the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner, and it certifies that Dr. Lee Lavity, the Deputy Chief, Wayne County Medical Examiner, performed a postmortem examination on the body of LaShawn Marshall at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office on February 21st of 2022. In the summary and opinion portion of this document, it states that it is my opinion that death was caused by multiple, in parentheses, 4 gunshot wounds. There was no evidence of close range fire noted on the skin surrounding any of the wounds. All 4 wound tracks were from left to right and upward. There was an entrance gunshot wound above and behind the left ear, GSW number 1. The wound track passed through the left paraorbital bones, left occipital lobe, right temporal lobe, and right temporal lobe and right temporal bone, and into the right temporis muscle. Additional injuries included bilateral, paraorbital, esomorphous, diffuse, subarachnoid hemorrhage, and multiple skull fractures. Fragments of a jacketed bullet were recovered from the head and retained. There was a tangential gunshot wound on the vertex of the head, GSW number 2. The wound track passed through the parietal scalp and other parietal bones. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the right upper back, GSW number 3. The wound track passed through the right back muscle and soft tissue, right humerus, and into the right shoulder muscle and soft tissue, where a deformed jacketed bullet was recovered and retained. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the left mid-back, GSW number 4. The wound track passed through the left 4th rib, left diaphragm, left lung, pericardium, heart, sternum, and into the right chest muscle and soft tissue, where a deformed jacketed bullet was recovered and retained. Additional injuries include bruising on the right lung and bleeding into both chest cavities and pericardial sac. The manner of death is homicide. It's signed Dr. Lee Lavity, Deputy Chief, Wayne County Medical Examiner. One moment. Judge, People's Exhibit number 5 is a postmortem report from the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner. It certifies that Dr. Lee Lavity, Deputy Chief Wayne County Medical Examiner, performed a postmortem examination on the body of Aaron D. as in Delta Benson at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office on February 21st of 2022. In the summary and apportioned opinion of this document, it is my opinion that the death was caused by multiple 9 gunshot wounds. There was no evidence of close range fire noted on the skin surrounding any of the wounds. The majority of the wound tracks were from left to right and downward. There was an entrance gunshot wound above and behind the left ear, GSW number 1. The wound track passed through the left parietal bone, left paratemporal lobes, right temporal lobe, and right parietal bone, and ended at an exit wound on the right temple. Additional injuries include multiple skull fractures, bilateral paraorbital esomorphous, diffuse subarachnoid hemorrhage, and bruising on the base of the brain. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound in the left chin, GSW number 2. The wound track passed through the chin muscle and soft tissue of mandible and ended at an exit wound on the right chin. Fragments of a jacketed bullet were recovered from the chin and retained. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the right chest, GSW number 3. The wound track passed into the right lateral chest wall soft tissue. A deformed jacketed bullet was recovered from the right lateral chest and retained. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the mid-chest, GSW number 4. The wound track passed through the right second rib and right lung with bleeding into the right chest cavity. A deformed jacketed bullet was recovered from the right chest cavity and retained. There was a grazed gunshot wound in the left chest, GSW number 5, with injury to the skin only. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the lateral left chest, GSW number 6. The wound track passed through the left 8 rib, left lung, and diaphragm into the stomach with bleeding into the left chest cavity. Fragments of a jacketed bullet were recovered from the stomach and retained. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the anterior left forearm, GSW number 7. The wound track passed through the arm muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the medial left upper arm with bruising of the surrounding skin. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was an entrance gunshot wound in the lateral left forearm, GSW number 8. The wound track passed through the arm muscle and soft tissue and ended at an exit wound on the left antecubital fossa with bruising of the surrounding skin. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. There was a grazed gunshot wound in the posterior left forearm, GSW number 9, with injury to the skin only. There was no bullet or part of a bullet recovered from the wound track. Other injuries, including an abrasion on the right forearm and 9 injuries resembling bite marks in various stages of healing on the left shoulder, left arm, and right back. The manner of death is homicide, and it's signed Dr. Lee Lavity, Deputy Chief, Wayne County Medical Examiner.
All right.
Thank you, Judge. With that, Your Honor, may I also approach with the scene photographs from Evergreen, People's Exhibits 7 through 61?
Right. You have the autopsy reports as well?
I do, Your Honor. May I approach with them?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
I don't intend on using, and just for the record, I don't intend on using the scene photographs with the first 3 witnesses.
Okay.
And whenever the court is ready, Your Honor, the people are ready to call the first witness.
Please do.
People are going to call Maurice Benson.
Yes, Mr. Pope.
Hey, Judge, I just have one question. Will the writ be released so my client can go back to the phone now?
I don't know. That doesn't really have anything to do. I don't have an issue with it.
Okay, I will, I guess I'll need to talk
I'm
to the
sure
prosecutor.
they'll want them back for the arraignment.
Well, the arraignment's out by video, so he can go back to McCollum and do
Okay.
the arraignment by video.
You know Mike Wayne come?
Apparently not, Judge. He was like, oh, now.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Sir, please step forward. Tell me your name and spell it for me.
I'm Maurice Benson, MAURICE,
Please raise your right hand, sir. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat in the witness box next to me. Pull that door open. It's just below me. Keep your voice up nice and loud so we can hear you through that mask, okay?
Okay.
That red light that's to your left is actually a microphone. That'll help you project a little too. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. All right, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, would you mind stating your name for the record, please?
Maurice Vincent.
Mr. Benson, I'm just gonna ask you to keep your voice up, because that nice young lady beside you is taking on everything that you say and everything I say, okay? And sir, I apologize for keeping you waiting, but I want to bring your attention back to February 20th of 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes,
And at that time, did you know someone by the name of Aaron Benson?
yes,
And who was he to you?
my cousin,
And did Mr. Benson live over on Evergreen?
yes,
Would that be 15319 Evergreen in the city of Detroit?
yes,
And did Mr. Benson live by himself, or did he live with other people?
with other people.
Who did he live with, sir?
Girlfriend LaShawn and her son, Caleb.
So his girlfriend LaShawn, you said, and her son Caleb?
Yes,
And did you have a good relationship with your cousin Aaron?
yes,
Would you speak with him on occasion?
yes,
How many times per week would you say?
at least 2 to 3 times a week.
And prior to that Sunday, February 20th of 2020, when was the last time you spoke with Aaron?
Thursday afternoon.
And that would have been the 17th, I believe, of February. Is that correct?
Yes,
Sound about right?
yes,
And do you know what Aaron did for a living?
no,
Did he have any like side jobs or side hustles?
no,
Okay, what about his girlfriend? Did you know if she did anything for a living?
no,
Okay, and you said the last time you spoke was on Thursday, the 17th?
correct.
Now, at some point in time, did you receive a phone call that caused you to go over to that area on Evergreen?
Yes,
And who called you?
it was a relative.
And
I didn't hear that.
It was a relative.
and when you got called by your relative, what was it regarding?
He had,
Objection, hearsay.
I'm not asking specifically what was told, but what was the nature of the conversation that you had with your relative?
he was concerned about Aaron.
About Aaron?
Yes,
Okay, and then what did that cause you to do, if anything?
to go see about my cousin.
Okay, did you go over to Evergreen?
Yes, I did.
And when you got to Evergreen, what did you observe, if anything?
No one answered the front door, side door, and when I went to the back door, I seen that it was partially kicked in.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you there. So you actually went to the house in Evergreen.
Yes,
Would that be the 15319 Evergreen address?
yes,
You said that you went to the front door and the side door,
yes,
and no one answered?
yes,
And then you testified that you went to the back door,
correct.
and what did you observe?
I observed that the back door was partially kicked in.
Okay, and when you see that, what's the next thing that you do?
I go and I go inside.
Okay, and when you go inside, do you see anything?
Yes,
What do you observe, sir?
I observed the body.
And when you say bodies, whose body?
Aaron, Sean, and Kenneth.
All right, now, when you first enter the back door that you said that was partially pushed or kicked in, is that where you see some of the bodies?
Yes,
Who do you see when you first go in the back door?
I see both Aaron and Sean
And where are they physically in the room?
on the bed.
Okay, and then you said that you saw Caleb's body as well?
Yes,
Where was he?
his bed on the floor.
Okay, could you see what type of injuries that they had sustained?
I was only able to see head wounds, that was it.
Okay, was there a lot of blood?
Yes,
Did you see any evidence that some sort of altercation had taken place?
no,
Like knives, guns, cases, did you see any of
I
that?
seen this bullet hole, and that was it.
You saw some bullet holes?
Yeah,
Okay, and once you made these observations, what did you do?
I contacted 911.
Okay, did the police arrive?
Yes, I did.
And did you tell the police about the observations that you made?
Yes, I did.
Are some of the officers that you met actually outside of this courtroom today?
Yes,
And you spoke to them about what you saw and what you heard?
yes,
And then afterwards, sir, did you give a statement to a Sergeant Evie?
yes, I
And
did.
you told him everything that you just told us?
Yes,
How long had Aaron and LaShawn and Caleb lived in that house prior to that day, if you know?
I'm unaware of Caleb and Sean's time of being there. I just know Aaron had been there for at least 6 months.
Okay. All right, Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Cross-examine.
So you are what you consider to be close with Aaron, correct?
Yes.
And you've known Aaron how long?
My entire life.
Your entire life?
Yeah.
You don't know what he did for a living?
No.
You're being honest about that.
Correct.
You didn't know that he sold marijuana?
No.
You never obtained marijuana from him? Nothing
Bless you,
further.
Judge.
Nothing further, Judge.
Any redirect?
None, Judge.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, the people's next witness is going to be Davion Sewell. This should also be a very brief witness.
Good afternoon, sir. Please step forward. Tell me your name and spell it for me. Tell me your name and spell it for me.
Devion Sewell, D-A-V-E-O-N.
D-A-V.
E-O-N. S-E-W-E-L-L. E-O-N. No, one E.
V-A-V.
D-A-V-E-O-N.
Sewell, S-E-W-E-L-L. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Keep your voice up nice and loud so we can hear you through the mask. Pull the door open that's located just below me. Have a seat in the witness box. Begin when you're ready. There's a red light on your left-hand side. That's actually a microphone. If you can speak into that, that'll help us out too, okay?
Okay.
Begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir. All right, you gotta keep your voice up, okay? So this nice young lady beside you can take on everything that you say and everything I say, okay? Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Would you mind stating your name for the record?
Devion Sewell.
Mr. Sewell, I want to bring you back to February 20th of 2022. Remember that day?
Yes.
And at that time, did you know someone by the name of LaShawn Marshall?
Yes.
And who was she to you?
My representative.
And at the time of February 20th of 2022, did your baby sister live over on Evergreen?
Yes.
Would that be 15319 Evergreen in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
Did she live by herself or did she live with other people, if you know?
So she lives with her boyfriend Aaron and her son Caleb.
So you said her boyfriend Aaron and her son Caleb?
Yeah.
And prior to the 20th, which would have been a Sunday, Your Honor, for the record, the 20th of February 2022, when was the last time that you spoke with your sister LaShawn?
Friday evening on my way to work.
So you said Friday evening? Do you know, is that a yes?
Yes.
And when you spoke with your sister, LaShawn, would this have been in person or would it have been over the phone?
Over the phone.
At any point in time, did you see Aaron or Caleb that day?
No, but I heard him.
You heard them? Would this have been over the phone as well? So you said the last time you spoke with your sister would have been Friday evening, that would have been the 18th of February?
Yeah.
And do you know what Aaron did for a living?
You never what we do.
You said he was a neighborhood weed dude?
Yeah.
Are we talking like small amounts of marijuana, like little dime bags, or are we talking about some weight?
We got like 3 pounds, 5 pounds at the most.
3 pounds what?
Like 3, maybe 5 pounds at the most.
Say 3 or 5 pounds at the most? Well, would he have cash on him? If you know, I don't
I
want
would know, but I'm trying to tell you. Like that, like, pull out a lot and slash around. You know,
Okay, so but you know that he had between 3 and 5 pounds of weed. Is that yes?
Yeah.
What did your sister do?
He senator's aide.
Okay,
What?
do you know-
Senator's aide.
Senator's aide?
Yeah.
do you know,
Senator's aide.
Senator's aide.
do you know for who?
Rashida Tlaib.
All right, so Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Okay, and you said Caleb lived over there as well?
Yeah.
You know how old Caleb was at the time? So after you speak with your sister on Friday evening, you said you were on your way to work. Fast forward to the 20th, that's Sunday. Did you receive a phone call?
Yeah, my little Chanel called me and said one of her friends told her that was trying to take the house was yellow tape around and the police was wanting it.
Okay, so you were informed that there was police officers and yellow tape at that house in Evergreen?
Yeah.
When you hear that information, what do you do?
Went to the gas, left my house, went to the gas station. That's what I seen all the police and the tape stuff.
And when you say the gas station, is that a gas station at Fangle and Evergreen?
Yeah.
Did you actually get to go to that house, at that 15319 Evergreen house, or was that blocked out by police?
It was already blocked off by police.
All right, so you never actually got to go inside of the house?
No.
Well, let me ask you this, sir. Did you have any knowledge of whether or not Aaron had a gun of any kind? You have no knowledge of that?
No.
What about your sister?
No.
Oh, my God. Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Sir, when you said no, do you mean you have no knowledge or she didn't have a
No,
gun?
shit, I don't.
Ms. Callahan?
But I have no question.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge.
Next witness.
Judge, I have a police officer that will be even quicker than this. Can I get that officer in because it'll make more sense with the next civilian? Yeah, that's okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna call Officer Biggs then.
Officer Biggs,
And Judge, actually for this witness, may I just see the photographs? They would have been 6 through 7 through 61. Thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon, sir. Please tell me your name and spell it for me.
Officer Zachary Biggs,
Spell it for me.
Zachary, last name Biggs.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat in the witness box next to me. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name for the record?
Zachary Biggs,
And sir, how are you employed?
work for the Detroit Police Department in prison,
And what are your duties with the Detroit Police Department's 8th precinct?
safeguard life and property.
And have you been a police officer? Are you a police officer for the city of Detroit?
Yes,
How long have you been employed by the police department?
2.5 years.
Now, I want to bring your attention back to February 20th of 2022. Were you working that day?
Yes.
And did your duties bring you to the area of 15319 Evergreen?
Yes,
Is that in the city of Detroit?
yes,
Is that also located in the 8th precinct?
yes.
And were you working by yourself or were you with a partner?
Partner,
Which partner's name?
Officer Williams,
And what was the nature of your reason to go over to that location?
we received a 911 emergency phone call for a possible shooting, GSW, that location.
And you were there was a radio run for that?
Yes,
And did you go to that location?
yes,
Around what time? Would this have been in the afternoon?
yes.
And when you arrived, what's the first thing that you saw?
I witnessed the caller, in contact with him. He told me that his family is injured inside the building.
Would that be a gentleman that you saw outside in the hall?
Yes,
And was your partner, Officer Williams, with you at the time?
yes,
And did you speak with that individual regarding any information he may have?
briefly, yes, I was trying to see what's going on.
Okay, and after speaking with that person, what do you do?
What did I do?
Yes, sir.
I went to the rear of the house, and I observed the door partially pushed open. I looked through, after pushing the door a little more, and I observed two victims, unresponsive, laying on a bed.
Were they, to your knowledge, were they suffering any injuries?
Yes.
What did you observe?
I observed multiple gunshot wounds, both victims.
Did you see any physical evidence that, other than the bodies with what you believe to be gunshot wounds, any physical evidence that a shooting had taken place?
Yes, I've seen a couple cases.
You remember what caliber? And then, did you go inside of the house any further?
Yes, I told my units that we needed to clear the house, possible suspect. So,
And when you, did you help assist in clearing the house?
yes,
And did you make any other observations when you did so?
yes, I observed, in the next room, I observed a young child also in response to multiple gunshot wounds.
And, once you make these observations, was there any physical evidence that you saw around the body of that individual?
Yes.
That a gunshot, that a shooting had taken place?
Yes.
What did you observe?
Also, I observed cases located on the floor.
Were they also, the same caliber as the ones you saw in the other room?
Yes.
At that particular point, did you radio other officers about the observations you're making?
Yes, I notified dispatch.
Did an evidence tech arrive or evidence techs arrive and process the scene?
Yes.
And was the scene photographed? And prior to you testifying, were you showing people's exhibits 7 through 61,
Yes,
photographs of the scene?
yes,
Were they fair and accurate depictions of the observations you made?
they were.
And were you also shown a scene sketch, which is, for the record, People's Exhibit 62? Were you shown that as well?
Yes,
And was the scene sketch an accurate representation of the scene as you observed it back on February 20th of 2022?
yes, it was.
Just one more.
Are you moving for the admission of 62?
62 was already admitted, Judge.
Oh, it's admitted.
That was a stipulation. We were in admit.
Okay. Gotcha.
The two victims that you first mentioned when you entered the home from the back, were they adults? Were they adults?
Yeah.
Were they male, female, both?
There's a male and a female.
And then what about the other individual that you saw?
Young male child.
Young male child, okay. All right, Judge, I have nothing further.
Prosecutor.
When you arrived, it was approximately what time?
Approximately 3:15, 3:17.
In the afternoon,
Yes,
so it was still daylight outside.
yes, it was.
And you encountered somebody outside the home before you went in the home?
Yes,
And that was the person that you talked to in the hallway, correct?
I didn't speak to him at all, but yes, it was. Call it.
Who did you talk to on that occasion?
Repeat that.
Did you talk to a David Sewell that afternoon?
No, I don't believe so.
Anybody with the name of Benson?
Yes, that was the caller.
That was who?
The caller,
I still didn't.
that was the caller for that, to run that day. That was the person who called us.
That was the person that called 911, right?
Yes,
Was that person present at the scene when you arrived?
yes.
When you arrived, where at the scene was he?
He was in the driveway, looking in front of the house.
He flagged you down?
Yes.
You be excited?
He seemed to be emotional,
Seemed to be what?
very emotional.
And how long did you talk with him?
Approximately 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
All you knew at the time that you left him was that there were people that had been shot in the house, correct?
He stated that his family was inside the house hurt. Shot.
He told you what he saw, right?
Yes.
He didn't tell you who did it, did he?
No.
You indicated on direct examination that by eyeballing the shell casings, you could tell what gauge they were, correct?
'Cause by looking at them from my law enforcement background and previous encounters, I looked at 9mm.
And how much time would you say you looked at those shell casings?
Well, I was on scene for like 6 hours, so I mean,
Well, you didn't spend a lot of time. You walked through that bedroom, you saw two people laying there, dead, right?
yeah,
And then you moved into the other bedroom and you saw a young child dead, correct?
correct.
All right, so your interest at that point in time really wasn't what caliber shell casings existed, correct?
Kind of that time.
So at some point in time, is it your testimony that you took the time to actually physically look at the shell casings, pick them up, examine them?
Once I made the building secure and waiting for my supervisor to come to the scene, I was holding the scene down and I looked briefly for about 5-10 minutes. And I observed that it looked like a 9mm, yeah.
Nothing from the judge.
Can you redirect? Just very briefly, while the evidence techs were processing the scene, did they also collect those shell casings?
Yes.
Judge, I have nothing.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Judge, permission to publish to the board, People 62.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge, and permission to approach the camera. Thank you, Judge. And that's 7 through 61. All right. Judge, the people are going to call Jacob Arnold if the court is okay with us calling out the witness.
This is your last civilian, right?
That's correct.
This one will tend to be a little bit lengthier than the other.
Yeah, Judge, this will be a long witness, just for the court's edification. I know you said something about 1 o'clock. Just wanted to make the court clear.
All right. So we break for lunch now. Come back at 45.
I think that's a wise idea.
Let me talk to the young man anyway. Good afternoon, sir. So I appreciate you being here so long. We're about to break for lunch, so you can get you something to eat right quick, okay? But I need you to be back on time and ready to go at 1:45, okay? Can't hear you. All right, see you back at 1:45.
Thank you, Judge.
Court is in recess to 1:45. Okay, recalling case 2256011, people of the state of Michigan versus Malcolm Ray Hart. Appearances, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mike Glynne for the people. My P number is 77516.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Evan Callahan, the defendant, P30564.
All right, are we ready to resume?
Judge, people are ready to proceed.
Defense is ready, Judge.
Call your next witness.
Judge, the people are going to call Jacob Arnold.
Good afternoon, sir. Please step forward. Tell me your name nice and loud and spell it for me, please. Lot louder. That's the same level. Yell, this is your opportunity to yell at the judge. Scream at him. There we go. Spell it for me, please. Loud, please. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. Open up the door that's just below me and have a seat in that witness box. There's gonna be a red light to your left. That's a microphone. I need you to speak into that so we can hear you through that mask, okay? All right, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, sir. Sir, good afternoon. All right, you're gonna have to keep your voice up, okay? Because that nice young lady beside you is gonna take on everything you say and everything I say, okay? Now, that, like the judge said, that red light is a microphone, okay? So you can speak into that and it'll amplify your voice, okay? Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Now, would you mind stating your name for the record, please? And Mr. Arnold, how old are you? Said you're 18?
Excuse me, he's gonna have to speak up.
I agree.
Yes, use your outside voice.
Okay. And speak into the microphone.
Make it a little easier for us, okay?
All right, how old are you, sir?
18 years old.
All right, do you have a brother by the name of Joshua? Is he your twin? Is that what you guys are referred to on the street? That's a kind of a nickname for both of you? And do you know someone by the name of Malcolm Hardy? Do you see him in court today? Can you point to him and identify an article of clothing he's wearing?
I didn't hear you, sir.
I mean, I got black on too, to be fair. You mean the person that's sitting in the row behind me? Right over there? All right, I'm gonna have to, the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant, Malcolm Hardy.
So noted.
Thank you, Judge. And how do you know Malcolm Hardy? You gotta keep your voice up. You said you go to school together? Said yes?
Yes.
Okay, does your brother go to school with you, both of you as well?
No.
Okay, is your brother, if you know, friends with Mr. Hardy? Yes, okay. I hate to keep telling you, you gotta keep your voice up, okay? Do you know any nicknames for Mr. Hardy?
What is it?
Little Juice? Is that what you said? All right, you gotta be about as loud as me, sir. I'm sorry, you gotta keep your voice up. Okay? Is that a yes? Okay, because this man right here needs to hear everything you're saying too.
Again, talking to the red light for us.
Okay. If you don't understand any questions that I'm asking you, just ask me to rephrase or you don't understand, okay? Okay. Now, you said that you knew Mr. Hardy as Lil Juice, and you said that you go to school with him. How long have you known Mr. Hardy? How many years? You said,
Sir, talking to the red light.
3 years.
Thank you.
okay, 3 years. And is your brother friends with Lil Juice?
Yes.
All right, now I want to bring you back. I want to bring you to the area of Evergreen and Fenkell. Are you familiar with that area?
Yes.
Is that in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the 15319 Evergreen address?
Yes.
Do you know someone that lives there?
Yes.
Who?
Aaron.
You said Aaron?
Yes.
And do you know him by any other name? What do you know him by? You call him A-Dog? Does A-Dog live at that address by himself or does he live with other people? Who?
Caleb.
And who's Caleb? All right, you said Dave's son. Is there someone else that lives there?
Sam.
You said Sin? All right, is it a female?
Yes.
Okay, describe her for me.
I can't hear you, sir.
She and big baby 17.
Is she African American, Caucasian, Hispanic?
American.
All right, so,
She's white. African American.
and how long have you known A-Dog?
2 years.
For 2 years, and would you do anything for A-Dog?
Yes.
What would you do for him?
You know, since I
What's and stuff? Describe the things you would do.
was going stuff.
And would you do that in exchange for anything?
Yes.
What would you do? What would you do that in exchange for?
Money and weed.
You said money and weed? Judge, I'm gonna ask a little leeway. I'll try to repeat his answers, just so it's clear for the record.
Okay.
And if I say something, sir, that's different than what you said, correct me, okay? All right, is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so you said that you get paid either in money and weed?
Yes.
Does your brother, Josh, do the same thing?
Yes.
What about, Lil Juice, Malcolm? Does he do the same thing? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And, would you do things outside of the house as well? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so every time you say, yeah, we can't, you have to say yes or no, okay?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And what things would you do outside of the house? You said take people his weed? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And, is that something your brother Josh would do? Is that something Malcolm would do?
Yes.
And when I mean Malcolm, I'm referring to Mr. Hardy. You understand that, right? Lil Juice? Okay. Now I'm gonna bring you back to February 18th of 2022. Do you remember that day? And at that time, at around 8 p.m., where were you? You said in your bed? Or would this be at your house? All right, and I'm not gonna ask you where your house is, but you are at your home? Okay, was anyone else there at the time? And you said your stepdad? And who is your stepdad?
Tim.
Is that Tim Evans? And was there anyone else there at the time? You said your brother and Juice? So I can kind of hear that, and to be fair, Judge, I've spoken with this witness before, so I can kind of understand something, so I'll continue to repeat the answers as long as the board is okay with that. Okay. Thank you, Judge. So you said your brother, was anyone else there? What, was Malcolm there as well? Okay, and, would this be at around 8 p.m. that I mentioned? All right, is this something that you told the police? Okay, and, what are you doing at 8 p.m. on February 18th of 2022? Okay,
Sorry,
and
I
what,
didn't hear him.
I think he said he was going to sleep. And when you're going to sleep, do you know what your brother and Malcolm were doing?
No.
Okay, at some point in time, do you go to sleep? And do you wake up? You said they woke you up around 9:30? Is that PM? And when they woke you up around 9:30, are we referring to your brother Josh and Malcolm? Do you notice anything about them?
Say
I
what?
hear him. I need to hear him.
I heard something scared. Say it again.
They were looking scared? All right, and when you say they, are you referring to your brother Malcolm? Did your brother Joshua have anything on him? Is your brother Joshua saying anything? And when you first noticed them, where are you in your house? And what's upstairs in your house? You said in your bed and stuff? Your bed or someone else's bed? And when you're referring to your brother, are we referring to Joshua? And is he acting scared up there? Is your brother doing anything else? You said crying and stuff? What other stuff is he doing? You said your brother is crying, acting scared and shaking? Is that a yes? And what about Malcolm? What is Malcolm doing? And does Malcolm, you said scared and shaking? Does Malcolm have anything on him at the time?
I can't.
Okay.
Said the gun.
All right, describe the gun for me.
It was black and mustard.
You say it was black?
Can you get it for me, please?
Black with an extended clip.
Yes. Is that what you said? It was black with an extended clip? What color was the clip? Oh, so black, the gun was black, the clip was clear and extended? And you said that Malcolm had that? Had you seen that gun before? Where have you seen that gun before? At whose house? A-Dog's house? That's the house that's on Evergreen and Benkel? 15319 Evergreen? And, was there anything else, or did Malcolm have anything else other than the gun? You said a bag? What color was the bag? It was blue? Did it have anything else on it? So it was blue with flowers. Is that yes? It was, did you see if there was anything in the bag? And when you see Malcolm with the gun that you saw at A-Dog's house, as well as the bag, have you seen that bag before? Where did you see that bag before? And when you say in their room, who are you referring to? You said A-Dog and his son? Oh, A-Dog and Sin. Okay. That the female that you talked about that lives at that house in Evergreen? And were you able to see inside of the bag? And did Malcolm say anything about the gun in the bag? Did Malcolm say anything at all? What did he say?
You said what? It's stuff in the bag?
Who was stuffed in the bag? And when you say there, who are you referring to? So you're saying that he said that it was A-Dog and Sin stuff in the bag? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Does he say anything else? Does he say if they did anything over at that house? What do they say?
Objection, they.
I agree. I think that's fair. When I said they, I mean, who is saying something to you?
Who?
Juice. Okay, little Juice. So Malcolm. What is Malcolm saying to you?
I didn't hear.
I didn't hear that either.
He said he shot the person in the head, and he shot her in the leg.
Okay,
He
hold
said he shot
on.
the person.
I heard he shot the person in the head, and shot who in the head?
I need to hear this from the witness.
But that is what he said. He said shot the person in the head.
Okay.
What person?
All right. So he said he shot A-Dog in the head,
Yes.
and then what? If anything.
Then he shot the girl in the leg.
Okay, hold on. We're just gonna go one sentence at a time. Okay. So you said he shot A-Dog in the head, and then what's the next thing he said? Okay, so he said he shot the girl in the butt by accident. Okay, and then what? And then he shot her in the head. Okay, anything else?
Sir, open your mouth and speak.
Then the kid ran in the room, then he went back out there.
Okay, hold on.
You really need to enunciate, sir, and you gotta speak up. We're not-
Then he shot the kid in the leg, then.
Okay, all right, hold on, I'm gonna stop you. You said something before that. So let's start from the beginning, okay? You said that he shot A-Dog in the head, and then he shot the girl in the butt by accident, and then shot her in the head. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you said something about a kid running into a room.
He ran in the room, then he ran back out there and shot the kid in the leg. And shot him in the head.
Okay, so, yeah, there's a lot there. I agree. So you said the kid runs into the room, the kid runs out of the room, and he shoots him in the leg. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, and then he goes and then shoots him in the head.
Yes.
How many times? 2 times?
Yes.
And the kid, who is the kid?
Caleb.
So Caleb?
Yes.
Okay. And this is something that Malcolm is telling you in your brother's room in your house.
Yes.
Is your stepfather awake at the time?
No.
Is your brother saying anything about it at the time?
No.
And what about your mother? Is your mother there?
No.
Does your mother live at your house as well?
Yes.
What is her name?
Wanda.
Is that Wanda Arnold?
Yes.
Okay, so after you hear that Malcolm shot A-Dog, his girl, and then Caleb, what do? Okay, all right. You said, what did you do that for? Does Malcolm respond to you? Okay, does your brother say anything about it?
No.
What's the next thing that happens? Okay, you said then they left, and what was the next part? They left for about 2 hours? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do in that time frame? Okay, you went back and laid down?
Yes.
Would this be back in your room?
Yes.
Is this on the first floor or on the second floor? All right, on the first floor. Now, you said that they were gone for 2 hours, so they come back?
Yes.
And when I mean they, I'm referring to your brother Josh and Malcolm.
Yes.
Excuse me, does Malcolm still have the gun on him?
No.
Does Malcolm have the backpack on him? And do they say anything? I'll strike that. Does your brother Joshua say anything to you at that point?
Objection, usually.
All I asked is, did he say anything, not what he said? Thank you, Judge. Did your brother say anything to you?
No.
Does Malcolm say anything to you at the time?
No.
All right, what's the next thing that happens?
Okay,
hold
I
on.
understand.
Yeah, just say that again for me.
I went to sleep and they left in the one.
Okay, so they went to sleep or you went to sleep?
No, this week.
Okay, we all went to sleep and then you said they left in the morning? And when you mean they, are you referring to your brother Joshua and Malcolm?
Yes,
Okay, at some point in time, does your mother get home?
yes,
Do you tell your mother what happened?
yes.
What do you tell your mom? All right, I heard something shot a dog.
I said they shot A-Dog.
I still think that's.
I didn't get
fair,
swear
say
I
no.
said they shot A-Dog.
You said they shot a dog? Okay, and they, who are you referring to as they? You're referring to Juice? All right, so you told your mother that Juice shot a dog. Did you tell your mother that Juice shot the,
Objection. I believe the witness said they shot, not
and then I asked him who was they, and he said Juice. So I'm just following up on that. And I apologize, Judge, I mean,
No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I'm listening very closely and you haven't stated anything that he did not say.
thank you, Judge. Okay, you say that you told your mother that Juice shot Ada.
Yes,
Do you tell your mother that Juice shot the female that lives there
yes,
and Caleb?
yes,
So you tell her that at that point. And your brother Joshua and Malcolm are not there.
no,
Do you tell your stepfather Tim what happened?
no,
Or what's the next thing that happens? This would be the next day, is that fair to say?
yes,
The 19th, so that would have been a Saturday?
yes.
What's the next thing that happens? All right, you said something picked him up at the house. All right, you and your mother
Yes,
picked who up?
yes,
Okay, so they, Josh and Juice,
yes,
at whose house?
yes,
All right, so you, your mother, Josh and Juice are now in your mother's car,
yes,
and you picked them up, you meaning your mother and you picked Joshua and Juice up at his house.
yes.
Okay, what's the next thing that happens? Do you guys go anywhere?
Went to the funeral,
You went to the funeral home?
yes,
Did you go anywhere else?
and we went to my sister's house.
And then you said you went to your sister's house
Yeah, McDonald's.
and at McDonald's.
Yes,
While you're in the car, you, your brother Josh, Malcolm, and your mother, does Malcolm talk about what happened?
no,
He never tells your mother what he did.
yes,
Okay, does he say anything about what he did?
no, he just told me he did.
He just told your mother that he did it? And he, for the record, I'm referring to Malcolm,
Yes,
does your brother say anything at this point?
no,
Is your brother still acting the same way as he was the night before?
yes,
So your brother is still crying?
yes,
Your brother's still shaking?
yes,
Your brother's still acting scared or nervous?
yes,
Okay, how is your mom reacting to this?
scared,
And how do you know that she's scared at that point?
she was crying,
I didn't hear that.
she was crying,
Your mother was crying as well?
yes,
All right, so at some point you get to your sister's house.
yes,
And is this you, your mother, your brother Joshua, and Juice?
yes,
Okay, when you get to your sister's house, what's your sister's name?
P, P,
Petey?
yes,
Okay, so you're at your sister Petey's house. Does Malcolm talk about what happened?
yes.
What does Malcolm say? Okay, hold on. Say that again.
You said they do something grandma, they do something grandma getting shot.
All right, so you said that the dude tried to grab my gun and I shot.
Yes,
Is that what you said?
yes,
And does he say anything about shooting the girl?
no,
Does he say anything about shooting Caleb?
no,
All right. At some point in time, do you ask him why he did it?
yes,
And when I say he, you know I'm referring to Malcolm.
yes.
And what did Malcolm say to you?
Didn't say nothing,
Pardon?
didn't say nothing,
He didn't say anything.
no,
So he told you, your sister, your mom, and your brother Josh that he shot the guy. We're assuming it's A-Dog, right?
yes,
Okay, because he tried to grab his gun.
yes,
And does he ever tell you why he shot the girl?
no,
Does he ever tell you why he shot Caleb?
no,
All right, did you tell the police something differently?
no,
You never told the police that Malcolm gave a reason why he shot Caleb?
no,
You never told the police that Malcolm told you that he shot Caleb because he was gonna snitch on him?
yeah,
All right, you did tell the police that? So is that something Malcolm told you?
yes.
When did he tell you that?
When I said no,
When what?
When you're at your sister Petey's house?
Yes.
Judge, this is a rare circumstance. Is there any way we could have him lower his mask for testimony? Maybe that would help. I apologize. I don't know if that would work, or we can continue this way, whatever's easier for the court.
I have no objection.
Okay, okay.
All right, sir, I'm gonna ask you to lower your mask briefly, okay? All right. Is that a little bit easier for you to speak?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have you keep your voice up though, okay?
Yes.
All right, so, did you tell the police that Malcolm gave a reason as to why he shot Caleb?
Yes.
And what did Malcolm tell you?
He said he was not snitch on him.
He said the kid was gonna snitch on him?
Yes.
All right, that's something that you told the police?
Yes.
All right, at some point in time, so after that, do you go anywhere else with your mother and your brother and Malcolm after your sister's house?
No, I just stayed there.
You guys just stayed there?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time, are you asked to come to the police station?
Yes.
And do you speak to a police officer about what you knew regarding the death of A-Dog, his girlfriend, and Caleb?
Yes.
And did you do this in the presence of your mother, like was your mom there?
Yes.
And did you talk to the police about what you knew?
Yes.
And did you identify Malcolm as the person who told you that he had killed A-Dog, his girlfriend, and Caleb?
Yes.
And were you asked to look at photographs and see if you could identify anyone?
Yes.
In fact, did you tell the police that you, your brother Joshua, and Malcolm had been ticketed for something before?
Yes.
Were you shown photographs regarding that incident?
Yes.
And were you asked to identify who the people in the photos were?
Yes.
All right, you remember doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach with people's proposed exhibits 64 and 65?
May-
All right, sir. I'm approaching first with what has been marked as people's proposed exhibit 64. What is that a photograph of? You said Little Juice?
Yes.
All right, is your signature on that? And did you identify Little Juice from this photograph?
Yes.
You'd agree that this is a copy?
Yes.
All right, it's a fair and accurate depiction of Little Juice
Yes.
and your signature? All right, now I asked you questions about photographs from when you, your brother Joshua, and Little Juice were cited. Do you remember that?
Yes.
All right, is this the photograph that you were shown?
Yes.
All right, you'd agree it's a copy?
Yes.
It's a fair and accurate depiction of what you were shown?
Yes.
Did you sign that?
Yes.
Did you also circle and identify who Little Juice was?
Yes.
So you, your brother Joshua, and Little Juice have hung out together before?
Yes.
All right, Judge, at this point, I'm going to move for the admission of people 64 and 65.
Any objection?
Admitted. Permission to publish? Yes. Thank you, Judge. Now, after speaking with the police, did there come a time where you had to come and speak with me?
Yes.
And you were actually court ordered to appear to testify, is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you had to raise your right hand, and you had to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And this would have been on February 24th of 2022, is that fair to say?
Yes.
And I was present?
Yes.
There was a court reporter similar to the young lady that's beside you?
Yes.
Sergeant McIntyre, who's in the courtroom here, he was there as well?
Yes.
And there was another male prosecutor, is that fair?
Yes.
There was no one else there, right?
No.
And you were asked questions about this, is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you were honest in the answers that you gave, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you tell me under oath that Malcolm is the person who shot Aaron, his girlfriend, and Caleb?
Yes.
Okay. And you also gave a written statement to the police, is that fair to say?
Yes.
That was an exhibit at the hearing that you and I had.
Yes.
And did you go over that statement with me?
Yes.
And did you tell me that that statement was true?
Yes.
And was it?
Yes.
And it identifies Malcolm as the person who did this?
Yes.
In that hearing that we had, for the record, investigative subpoena, the order that you got, you were shown those two photographs that I just showed the court. Is it fair to say?
Yes.
You identify Lil Juice?
Yes.
All right, that's the person in court, Malcolm Hardy?
Yes.
Now, Aaron, did you know his name was Aaron Benson?
Yes,
Okay, and how long had you known him?
2 years.
And what did he do for a living?
Sell weed.
When we're talking about selling weed, we talking about like little dime bags, or we talking about a substantial amount of weed? Big bags? We talking about like pounds?
Yes,
And I think you already testified that you and Joshua and Malcolm would help him out with that.
yes,
Would he been known to have large amounts of cash on him?
yes,
What about cell phones?
yes,
Okay, did you ever tell the police or talk to the police about Malcolm saying something about a cell phone?
yes,
All right, what did you tell the police about a cell phone? And when you say he had it, who had it?
yes.
All right, you said Juice had whose cell phone?
John did.
He had Josh's cell phone? So you said that Malcolm is using Josh's phone?
Both did.
Both of their phones? Okay. Did Malcolm ever say where your brother Joshua was at the time that these shootings took place?
Yes,
Where did he say your brother was?
she is outside on the stairs.
You said outside on the stairs? And when you say outside of the stairs, like outside of the house?
Yes,
Okay, and he never said anything about your brother being involved?
no,
Did your brother ever tell you anything about him being involved?
no,
This gun that you talked about, the black, is this a handgun?
yes,
Okay, and you said it had a clear extended clip?
yes,
When you saw that black gun with the extended clip on Malcolm at your house, I think you said around 9:30 on February 18th of 2022, were there bullets in the clip?
yes,
And you testified that you saw it over at Adolph's house before.
yes,
Had you held that gun before?
no,
Had your brother held that gun before?
no,
Had Malcolm held that gun before? Did you know where that gun was in the house?
no,
All right, and when you say he showed us, who showed you?
they go
All right, where did Adolph keep that gun in the house?
in the room.
You said in his room?
Yes,
Where in his room?
by the bed,
You said by the bed. All right, to the right or to the left of the bed?
to the right.
Okay, so if I walk into this room and I'm looking at, actually, I strike that because I'm assuming facts that aren't evidence. You've been in the house before? Okay. How many doors are there to get inside of the house?
One, son, during the window.
Okay, is there a back door as well?
Yes,
And can you get into the house through the back door?
yes, they bed blocking me. They bed was blocking me.
All right, so their bed is blocking the back door.
Yes,
And when you mean their bed, are you referring to A-Dog and his girlfriend?
yes,
All right, so is that their room?
yes,
Where's little Caleb's room?
across the hallway.
Okay, and if I walk into the A-Dog's room, his bedroom,
Yes,
and I'm looking at his bed, you say that the gun is to the right of the bed? Okay, so if I'm laying down on the bed, it's actually to the left side of the bed.
yes,
Okay. Now, did you ever tell the police that the gun was actually in the couch?
yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, pouch. Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't hear you.
yeah, like in the pouch.
so is that where he kept the gun, or is that where you've seen the gun before?
I see the gun before.
Okay, so that's where you've seen it,
Yes,
but you were told that it was actually kept by A-Dog's bed.
yes,
Okay. Now, when Malcolm tells you that A-Dog reached for his gun and that's why he shot him, is that actually what you told the police?
yeah,
Okay, didn't you tell the police that A-Dog reached for him and not a gun?
he reached for him, and they said he grabbed him up.
Okay, so for the record, Your Honor, the witness is taking his right hand, taking his shirt and kind of like grabbed it and extended out as if someone's trying to pull you towards him.
Yes,
So when you testified that Malcolm said that A-Dog tried to grab his gun, it wasn't his gun, it was him. Is that fair to say?
yes,
Okay, so Malcolm never told you that A-Dog had a gun. And then that's when he tells you he shot A-Dog and then his girlfriend and then Kate.
yes.
Okay. Does he tell you how many times he shoots each individual?
He said they let me at one time, and it's okay.
And he done one time and then,
He said he shot him in the head one time, then he said he got in the blood one time, then shot her in the head one time, then Kieran, then around, and shot the kid, Kieran 2 times.
All right, did you get all that? All right, so just to repeat, correct me if I'm wrong. You said that he shot A-Dog once in the head, and then he shot the girl in the butt, and then once in the head. And then you said he shot the kid in the leg, and then twice in the head.
Yes,
Is that what you said?
yes,
Okay. Did Malcolm say he shot any more times than that?
no,
Okay. So when Malcolm and your brother come back the second time to your house, when you testified they don't have the gun in the backpack,
yes,
does your brother or Malcolm tell you where the gun or the backpack is?
no,
One moment, Your Honor. Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Cross-examine.
Thank you. At the time this occurred, you were 17 years old.
yes,
Your brother was 17 years old as well.
yes,
And you guys resided about 1 block from this evergreen house, correct?
yes, around the corner,
I'm sorry, what?
around the corner,
Around the corner. And so if you were to walk from your house to A-Dog's house, how long would it take you?
like a minute,
A minute?
yes,
What about the defendant? How far did he live from the house?
down the street,
Okay, and how long would it take you to walk from his house to A-Dog's house?
a minute,
Just a minute.
yes,
So the 3 of you, or the 3 locations are in very close proximity to one another, correct?
yes,
And there are occasions when you went over there without Malcolm and without your brother, right?
Huh?
There were occasions when you would go over to A-Dog's house without having either your brother or Malcolm with you, correct?
yes,
And if you know, would your brother go over there without Malcolm and you?
yes,
And if you know that Malcolm would go over without either you or your brother.
yes,
So 8 o'clock on the 18th, you're asleep, right?
yes,
And you're in your bedroom, correct?
yes,
And Malcolm and Josh are there as well, correct?
yes,
What they're doing is what? What are they doing at the time?
waking me up,
I'm sorry.
waking me up,
Waking me up.
waking me up,
They're waking you up.
yes,
All right, so they wake you up, and what do they want you to do?
come upstairs,
They want you to come upstairs?
yes,
Okay, and did you go upstairs?
yes,
When you got upstairs, what happened?
I asked what happened, and my brother, he started kind of shaking.
I'm sorry.
I asked what happened, then my brother, he started kind of shaking.
Now, wait a minute. This is at 8 o'clock before you were sleeping, right?
Yes,
And nothing at that point in time, to your knowledge, had happened, correct? All right, so this is before the shooting occurred, correct?
yes,
And that, at least as far as you know, it was before the shooting, correct?
yes,
So before that shooting, they asked you if you would want to go over to A-Dogs with them, correct?
I never asked me that.
No? Then what did Malcolm ask you to do?
I was asleep,
You were home asleep.
yes,
Okay, you said that you went up to the bedroom.
they came back to the house.
Before they ever leave,
They was been gone.
wait a minute, you are asleep at 8 o'clock, correct?
I went to sleep around 8 o'clock.
Around 8 o'clock. as you were going to sleep, Malcolm was there, correct?
No,
What time was it when you first saw Malcolm?
early,
5 o'clock.
yes,
All right, so between 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you didn't see Malcolm at all?
No.
And at 8 o'clock, Malcolm wakes you up, correct?
no,
No, you just wake up?
I woke up at 9:30.
So do I understand you correctly that you went to sleep at 8 o'clock?
Yes,
And when you woke up, you were woken up, awakened by your brother and Malcolm?
yes,
Okay. And that was at what time?
9:30.
9:30?
And your brother, the first thing you notice about your brother is what?
He was scared and shaking and crying.
And Malcolm was doing the same thing, wasn't he?
Yes,
And was anybody doing any talking at that time?
I know. As what happened, you know what I'm saying? First time I had something again.
You asked what happened,
Yes, the first time.
and Malcolm didn't tell you anything at that point in time, did he?
No, they asked again. I asked what
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
Then I asked what happened again, he told.
Yes, what happened, yes.
Okay, so you asked what happened again, and he told me.
Yes,
He told you that he shot Agar, correct?
yes,
And he shot Sin, correct?
yes,
He shot Caleb, correct?
yes,
And he expressed to you, did he not? That it all happened real fast, right?
yes.
That he didn't mean to do it, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
You know what?
He said he don't know if they meant to do it or not.
Okay, but Malcolm told you that he didn't mean to do it, did he?
No,
Malcolm didn't tell you that he went over there to steal anything, did he?
no,
He didn't have any plans on hurting anybody, did he?
I don't know.
Okay. And as far as you know, he and your brother were at Hagar, correct?
Yes,
But you weren't there, were you?
no, I was sleeping all day.
You were asleep in your bed, and you don't know what happened there that night, do you?
No,
And after you're told this at 9:30, correct?
yes,
They leave, correct?
yes,
You call the police?
no,
Why not?
I was scared.
You were scared?
Yes,
You don't even really know if anything happened or not at that point in time, do you?
no,
Okay, so at 9:30, when they come back there, if I understand correctly, you indicate that Malcolm had a gun,
yes,
and you're just assuming that that was A-Dog's gun, correct?
it was his gun.
I'm sorry,
It was his gun.
I didn't hear you.
That was his gun.
How do you know it was his gun? You didn't see him take the gun from A-Dog, did you?
No,
A-Dog's name wasn't on the gun, was it?
no,
So you don't know for sure that it's A-Dog's gun.
it was. He showed us what his gun.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
He showed us what his gun looked like.
Still didn't hear
He
you.
said it was, he showed us what his gun looked like.
And when did he show you what the gun looked like?
When we were at his house.
When?
When we were at his house.
When
When we were at A-Dog house.
when you were at A-Dog's house, okay?
That day?
No,
That week?
no,
When?
that was like 2 months
2 months earlier?
later. Around in December.
All right, so you don't call the police, they leave, they come back, right?
Yes,
And what time is it that they get back?
around 11.
Your mom still isn't home, right?
No,
You didn't bother to tell Tim what happened in this period of time, did you?
No.
Why not?
I was scared.
Why are you scared? You didn't do anything, right?
No.
Did you do anything like go on crime in the D or anything like that to verify that there was actually shooting that occurred?
No.
Anybody send you any Facebook messages?
Yeah.
Who?
Be friends.
Your friends.
Facebook messages about this?
Yes.
Okay.
And approximately what time would you have received those messages?
When?
May.
I can't hear
May.
you. In May?
Yeah.
Okay.
When your mother got home, that was approximately 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
You guess or you know?
I say yes.
He said yes.
Yes, you know.
Yes. She came back to me.
And you didn't say anything to her that night, did you?
No, I told her when I told her when I got up in the morning.
Okay, Josh and Malcolm had left, hadn't they?
Yes.
And did they tell you where, did Malcolm tell you where they were going to go?
Yes, sir.
So the next morning you get up, right? First thing you do is you go in and you wake up your mother, right?
Yes.
And you tell your mom, Malcolm said that he killed A-Dog, Sin, and Caleb, correct?
Yes.
Or is it just that he killed A-Dog at that time? I'm sorry.
Maybe.
And the kid.
I didn't hear.
A-Dog and the kid.
Okay. So you hop in your mom's car, correct?
Yes.
Mom drives over to
Juvenile.
Malcolm's house, right?
Yes.
Does your mom go up? Does your mom know Malcolm's mom and dad?
Yes.
Did your mom attempt to tell Malcolm's mom and dad what happened?
No.
She didn't go to the front door and knock on the door.
No.
She didn't try to call Malcolm's house, did she? Going back to the night before, when they left the house, you said they had a black gun, extended clip, that was clear, correct?
Yes.
They came back at what time? 11?
11.
They didn't have the gun anymore.
No.
And did you ask where the gun was?
No.
Did they tell you where the gun was?
No.
Did Malcolm tell you where the book bag was?
No.
So Malcolm and Josh get in the car with you and your mom, right?
Yes.
And first place you guys go to is a funeral home.
Yes.
After the funeral home, you go to McDonald's, correct?
Yes.
And you drop Malcolm off and you drop Josh off at that McDonald's, correct?
No. Went to our sister's house.
You went and sat down in the restaurant.
No, we picked this boy by the drive.
You drive, then you went to your sister's house,
Yes.
right? And during this period of time that you're driving around, Malcolm's not saying anything about what happened the night before. is he? You get over to your sister's house, Malcolm doesn't say anything about what happened the night before, does he?
Yes.
What does he say?
Said he do try and grab him up.
He said what?
He said he do try and grab him up.
I didn't.
He said he do try and grab him up.
Did you try to grab him up?
Yes.
Again, you weren't there to see whether or not the dude tried to grab him up or not, right?
No.
Initially, you asked defendant why he shot at Sid and Caleb, correct?
Yeah.
And initially, Malcolm doesn't respond to you, does he?
No.
But eventually, he says something to you. How much time passes by before he actually says something to you? And after you're at your sister's house, does your mom take Malcolm home?
Yes.
She drops him off.
Yes.
And at that point in time, do you call the police? At that point in time, does your mother call the police? At that point in time, does Josh call the police? Sorry,
No.
nothing further.
Can you redirect?
Just briefly, Judge. So you were asked questions about when Malcolm was talking about what happened in the car with your mom, your brother Josh, and yourself. You remember those questions? Is it a yes? All right, you just gotta keep your voice up, okay? Is it a yes? Okay. Now, when Malcolm says the dude tried to grab him up, and that's when he shot him, you remember that? Is it a yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You just gotta keep your voice up, okay? Did your mom call him out on that?
Yes.
How?
He said, why you do that to him?
Did your mom act as if she didn't believe him?
Yes, she said, she still.
Objection to what the mom believed.
I mean, how she acted, I think. So how did she act? You can't really tell me what she said, but,
She was scared and stuff.
okay. Now, you were also asked about Facebook messages. You remember that?
Yes.
Or messages regarding this incident?
Yes.
Right, and I think your answer was you received some messages around May
Yes.
from your friends.
Yes.
Have you received any messages or phone calls regarding this that aren't from your friends?
Yeah.
All right, tell me about that.
Objection, relevance, and beyond the scope.
It's not, you
It's
have
not
to.
beyond the scope, but why is it relevant?
Well, I think that when you hear the answer from this particular witness, you'll see how it's relevant. Because I believe the answer is gonna be as an offer of proof that he was actually threatened before he was gonna testify. And the fact that the messages were being brought up, I mean, that's not beyond the scope. The door was opened, and I'm just clarifying.
Overruled, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Did you receive some messages regarding this case?
Yeah.
All right, were they good messages or bad?
Yeah.
All right, tell me about that. You were threatened
Yeah.
by who?
Can't hear you.
Somebody family?
And when you say somebody's family, whose family? Juice's family? Specifically who? You said you were threatened by Juice's cousin? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Is this phone call, text message, Facebook, Instagram, how? A phone call? And you were threatened? Okay. You want to be here to testify today? Are you scared to testify? All right. And everything you just told us is the truth?
Yes.
Judge, I have nothing further.
Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Put your mask back up. Any other witnesses on behalf of people?
One, maybe just, can I just speak to defense counsel about it? Judge, I think that we have a stipulation for exam purposes only for the admission of People's Exhibit 66, 67, and 68. That'd be the advice of rights form, the DVD statement, and the written statement from the defendant in this case. But I do believe that there's a caveat to it that I want Mr. Callahan to speak of.
The caveat is I have serious issues with it, but for purposes of the preliminary examination, I will stipulate to the admissibility of the statement.
Okay.
Just indicate for the record that this will be a subject in circuit court.
All right, you're not waiving your right to
I'm
contest the
not waiving
voluntariness of the statement at a later time.
That's
But for purposes of this exam, you're willing to stipulate to the voluntariness, is that right?
Yes.
And that certainly would be a substantive right that the defendant would have in circuit court anyway, that I'd have to show that it was voluntarily given.
Okay, so for purposes of this hearing, the court makes a finding that the statement was knowingly voluntarily given.
Thank you, Judge. For that purpose, Judge, I think we can waive the people's last witness. That would be Sergeant Todd Eby. He's the individual that actually took the statement from the defendant.
So we're gonna proceed by just reading the statement into the record.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
And the only other thing, actually, I'll wait until after, if I may, Judge.
Please.
And for the record, Your Honor, People's Exhibit 66, which would be the certification of notification of the advice of rights form for DPD, was signed by Sergeant Todd Eby and Tamika Cooks. That would be the mother of Malcolm Party, who was 16 at the time of the statement was taken. And it would have been on the 21st of February of 2022, and that would be at Detroit's Public Safety Headquarters.
Just so you know, therein lies the issue.
Okay, in terms of People's 67, that's the DVD right here that contains the whole statement. The written statement was taken by Sergeant Todd Eby at the Detroit Public Safety Headquarters on the 21st of February of 2022. It's a two-page document, Your Honor, and permission to read into the record.
Please.
Thank you, Judge. On page 1, first question is describe your knowledge of the shooting on Evergreen. Answer, yesterday I got a call from my friend Trey who told me about the murder. I then saw it on Instagram. Question, how after do you go to Evergreen? Answer, I buy weed from there from a guy named A-Dog at the house in Evergreen. A-Dog stays there with his girlfriend. I went there Friday night to buy some weed with the twins. I don't remember exactly what time, but it was dark. We went from their house on Vaughn to the Citco where I purchased the juice. And then the three of us went to A-Dog's house. We bought some weed and then left. Question, can you explain why your cell phone could be on Evergreen at the time of the murder? Answer, the truth is Josh and I went over to A-Dog's house. We had gone to the Citco and then went over there. A-Dog answered the side door and let us inside. A-Dog had told us to clean the living room. I moved the couch and I found the gun, a Glock 17, that was on the left side out in the open. I took the gun and went to the back bedroom where A-Dog and his girlfriend were at. When I entered through the open door, I sat in the chair to the left of the table. When I sat down, I started scrolling through my phone and then he punched me. He punched me and in the jaw, and I started shooting both of them. I think I shot about 3 times. A-Dog was lying on his bed and his girlfriend was on top of him. I then left the bedroom and I was trying to fix the gun and it went off and I shot the boy in the bedroom about 2 times. Josh was by the stairs the whole time. Josh never shot. We went out the side door and through the back yard to the twin house. We got to the house on Vaughn and we told his mother Wanda. I stayed the night there. What happened to the gun? When we got over to the Vaughn Street, I saw a guy I am familiar with and gave him the gun. Describe the guy you gave the gun to. Answer, a black male, 25. I don't remember the rest. And Malcolm Party signs both pages, Your Honor. All right. And Your Honor, I also have one other exhibit that would be People's Exhibit 69. It is a laboratory report, actually a firearms report, in regards to this particular case. I'm going to move for its admission under 766.11 Delta.
Any
No
objection?
objection for purposes of exam.
Admitted.
Thank you, Judge. For purposes of the record, Your Honor, the casings that are mentioned in People's Exhibit 62, the spent shell casing, 9mm shell casings were sent to the Michigan State Police for testing, and they were analyzed against each other, and it was determined by Shelby Sismaniak, who's a forensic scientist in the Firearms and Tool Marks Unit for the Michigan State Police, that all of those casings were fired from the same gun. And Your Honor, with that, the people have no further witnesses.
Any witnesses on behalf of the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
People?
Judge, at this point, I'm going to move to bind the defendant over as charged and reserve argument.
Judge, just very briefly, I don't think there's a record of a first-degree murder. I can agree, I'd say there's a question of fairness. That's all I have.
Okay. So as it relates to first-degree murder, People's Exhibits 1, 3, and 5, which are the, maybe I should let you make the argument. Go ahead.
Thank you,
On
Judge.
response?
Your Honor, People's Exhibits 1, 3, and 5 are the medical examiner's reports of the victims, Caleb Harris, LaShawn Marshall, and Aaron Benson. Poor 5-year-old Caleb Harris was shot 9 times. One from behind, you heard testimony that he was shot as he's running away because he was going to snitch. And then he walked up and shot him a bunch of more times. And when I mean a bunch more times, I mean 9 times total. There are spent shell casings in his room. I think there are 18 or 20 in total that were recovered. That's a significant total number of shots that were fired, not to mention the story that was told to both the witness and then by the defendant. They're inconsistent. They make no sense. When you look at the bodies of the adults and Mr. Benson and Miss Marshall, you see that they're shot numerous times, not from close range, in the head, in the back, in the side, all with the specific intent to kill. The defendant himself even says he went and got the gun and brought it into the room. And then he follows and then shoots the kid. I mean, I can infer the specific intent to kill. I think circumstantially, when you look at all of the other evidence, the shots that were fired, the gun that was taken, the bag that was taken, why he was over there, and then what happened inside of the home, I think that by a probable cause standard, I can show that a first-degree premeditated murder was committed. Because it's boom, boom, boom. I mean, what, Mr. Benson is shot 9 times, I believe. Miss Harris is shot 4 times or 5 times. And then Mr. Caleb Harris is shot 9 times. I mean, at what point do you not stop? At what point can you weigh the pros and cons of your actions? At what point can you, it's preposterous to think it's not first degree murder.
Well, that's not necessarily true, Judge. Just the mere number of shots in itself may be indicative of some other factor. Product of emotion, excitement, not the product of deliberation or specific intent. So it floats both ways.
Yes, but the question about whether it's premeditated is a question of fact. At that particular,
I don't
the
disagree.
premeditation and deliberation are questions of fact, which a trier of fact is.
With all due respect, Mr. Callahan, you have 3 separate victims here, one of which is a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child that was shot 9 times. You also have LaShawn Marshall was shot 4 times, and Aaron Benson was shot 9 times. When trying to determine if deliberation is a factor here, we look at the character of the weapon that was used, the manner in which it was used, and if you had just one victim, perhaps, but you have 3 different victims found in 2 different places. I would submit to you that if this happened the way that he says it happened, that he shot Mr. Benson first, and then he shot Miss Marshall, he would have to go to another room, leave that room and go to another room to shoot the 5-year-old baby. All that is required to show premeditation and deliberation is that the person had time to reflect on their actions before they took them. Doesn't mean it has to be months, years, or weeks, days, hours, minutes, or any number of seconds, but just enough time to reflect on those actions before you take them. And firing 22 shots that we know of, those are the ones that took effect. 22 shots. I submit to you that there was adequate time to him to reflect on what it was that he was doing when he did so. I have no question that what we have here is premeditation and deliberation by this defendant as he murdered these 3 people and quite notably this baby. The court, after hearing the testimony of Maurice Benson, Davion Sewell, Zachary Biggs, and Jacob Arnold, and looking at all of the people's exhibits that were submitted, is satisfied that people have met their burden of probable cause as it relates to the charges contained in the complaint. The court finds those charges were committed in the city of Detroit. The court finds probable cause to believe this has been committed. Then it will be bound over to Wayne County Third Circuit Court Criminal Division for further proceedings. His arraignment on the information, date, and time will be May 19th, 2022 at 9:00 a.m. Defendant will be remanded to the custody